Okay, hello everybody and welcome. Welcome to this webinar from OptaHaul. My name is Gary Gallagher. I'm the CEO of OptaHaul. We're a technology company providing, as hopefully most of you know, providing software for the dairy industry. I have Kevin with me today. Hello, Kevin.
Hi Gary, hello everyone. Hope you're all well.
Thanks for joining, Kevin. And Kevin, what's just for everyone's sake, what's your own role?
Yeah, so I'm the client success manager here in OptaHaul, and basically I work closely with all our customers to make sure that they're getting the most value from our solutions.
Very good, very good. And we'll come back to Kevin shortly for one of the sections. Okay, so going to get going today. This is as it should be at this time of year, our last webinar for 2025. We conduct webinars a few times a year. There will be question and answer option for everybody to submit questions. If we have time, we'll get them to at the end. If not, we'll follow up by email. And there'll also be a recording available to share with the attendees, or if you wish to forward on to any colleagues. Okay, so let's see what we're going to talk about today. So we are going to talk about what we're seeing in the market across the different countries that we work in terms of trends and dairy transport. We've picked a couple of new product enhancements from 2025 that might relate to those trends and that we thought might be interesting to recap on. And we're investing quite a bit in a specific part of the milk supply chain for next year. So we're going to cover that and give you a sneak peek of what some new features or one particular new feature is going to look like as we go into 2026. So before that, a little bit about us and what we do. So like I said at the top, we're a technology company. We work exclusively with the dairy industry and we work with processors, co-ops, and sometimes milk haulers themselves to help them provide better returns to their farmer members or their customers, ultimately to provide better returns to the farmers themselves by optimizing and finding new efficiencies in the milk supply chain, moving milk from farm to plant. So that's what we do. We provide software solutions which empower those teams that are in charge of the milk supply chain. So your transport managers, your operations managers, your schedulers, your dispatchers. We provide software to hopefully make their job a little bit easier, but ultimately to provide better returns to the dairy farming community. We work, here's a selection of our customers. We work in some different geographies. We're an Irish company with offices in Europe and North America. We have customers in Ireland, UK, Central Europe, US and Canada, and a variety of different companies. Some are processors, some are member co-ops, and like I said, some are haulers. Some have their own trucks and some use third-party haulers. So a variety of different use cases within our customer base. Okay, we look at it from two angles. The milk supply chain um, is in our mind and in our customers' minds often split up into two areas. The pickup of milk from the farms and then scheduling those full loads back to the processing plants. So our core product is milk collection optimization, so that optimizes that pickups. Typically most useful when there's a larger number of farms. So some of our biggest customers have a little bit over 3,000 farms that they need to pick up from every day or every second day. And as you can imagine, that can get quite complex in terms of planning and making sure that you're as efficient as possible. So that is really the first half of the solution is optimizing and streamlining milk collection. But more and more as we go into new geographies, we're starting to focus on maybe the second leg, or in some cases the more complex area. And this is where instead of the complexity lying at picking up milk from hundreds and thousands of farms. The complexity lies in making sure that milk gets to any one of 10, 20, 50, 100, 200 different plants. So this looks at it from the guise of, okay, the load is now full, and that journey from full load back to the plant, and that's what we call a scheduling and dispatch optimization. And this is really useful for customers who, on a daily basis, have to schedule loads either based on requirements from their own plants or from customer plants, and send those schedules out to drivers or haulers, whatever it might be. Okay, so two different solutions within our platform, and we will look at show you some live demos from both of those later. In the case of the load scheduling, this is, like I said, something we're investing in, and we'll have a new version of the product coming out next year. Okay, so that's who we are, where we work, what we do. Um, Next, what we'd like to do is just to give you an insight into the trends that we see as we're working with customers. Um, Kevin, like I said, works with OptaHaul as a customer success manager, but he's also a dairy farmer and has experience in milk hauling. So no better person to take us through. So Kevin, tell us what are you seeing both in the general market and in your work with our customers.
Yeah, I suppose, look, firstly, if we maybe start and look at it at more macro level. So we've seen global milk production and supply grow over the last number of years, but we are now seeing regional variations. Um, I suppose from a global point of view, it's expected or predicted that milk is going to rise by approximately 1.8% for the period 2025 to 2024 or to 2034. But there is going to be differences. It's expected here in Europe that production is going to be slightly less than what it is currently due to environmental and regulatory pressures. But in other areas, such as North and South America and parts of Asia, there's expected to be an increase in production. And the next slide kind of illustrates that. We can see over on the far left-hand side that Europe and Russia are both expected to be negative production compared to today. And conversely, if we move over to the far right-hand side, we can see that in particular India is expected to significantly increase in their milk production, along with China, Africa, and Pakistan. Um, North and South America are expected to slightly increase. And we can see there that both New Zealand and Australia are predicted to remain stable over the next number of years. If we move on, then I suppose trends that we're seeing in particular dairy logistics. You can flick on there, Gary. Yeah. I suppose what we're seeing is there's more consolidation happening across the whole supply chain now. We're seeing less smaller farmers and many more larger farmers. And the same can be said for processors. We're seeing a lot of processors merging and consolidating, essentially diversifying their portfolio to gain market share, while also ensuring that their businesses are viable long into the future. And what I would say, as I'm sure everyone is well aware, consolidation can bring challenges, but it's also presenting many opportunities. And just an example, one of our customers in the UK who's a hauler, he's now collecting milk for five different processors. And he feels that this model is working well for him because he can fully utilize his fleet. He's gaining greater efficiencies. And in turn, he's able to pass some of that savings back to each of the individual processors. So both parties are winning in those circumstances then. So that's something to look out for over the next while. Um, in terms of technology, then look, we're seeing a wide uptake of technology over the last 12 months, um, from route optimization tools, load planner tools, and essentially what these tools are helping is reducing the burden of the ever demanding changes within the dairy industry. So it's allowing planners, schedulers to do their work more efficiently. It's allowing them to spend more time at maybe higher value add work, while also ensuring that the milk is being collected efficiently and it's being delivered efficiently. In in terms of sustainability, there appears to be a greater emphasis on it at the moment. A lot of companies are starting to track, they're starting to measure sustainability metrics, and it appears that it's on a more regular basis than what it has been in the past. So then if we move on to labor still appears to be a major challenge across all geographies, not just one in particular. And the aging demographic of this pool of drivers, these milk collection drivers, is quite concerning. What we have seen happening across businesses now is they're launching their own driver training programs where essentially they're recruiting drivers, they're paying for their full cost of training, full cost of accreditation, and it ultimately gives a gateway to some of these people that historically might not have been able to afford to become professional drivers. So that's a good initiative that seems to be appearing across different countries. And then I suppose finally, in terms of trends, there's a greater appetite across the whole industry really for cost mitigation strategies. And in many businesses, it's expected that every strand of the business, be that logistics, procurement, processing, they're all developing cost mitigation strategies simply to remain viable. There's been, I suppose, a downturn within the dairy industry over the last 6 months in particular. So a real focus has been on cost saving strategies over that time. So then if we look forward to 2026, um, go through some of the trends that are emerging or what we anticipate to emerge. Look, consolidation is going to continue to happen. But what I would encourage is that people be adaptable to the change, and I would encourage to be planning ahead for what changes might come down the track. Be that consolidating milk pools, having a plan in place on how we will collect the milk efficiently and effectively if there is consolidation between different co-ops or different processors, and similar in terms of delivery locations. If it is a thing that there's going to be locations combined. We have to go to new factories. How are we going to plan ahead for that? And how are we going to ensure if that happens that we can still do our job? So I think that is going to be a big theme over the next number of years. I suppose another trend that we're seeing is there's been a big increase in the pace in which these new technologies are being rolled out. It's really ramped up over the last 12 months, and especially in the context of both route optimization, in terms of load planning, but also in terms of load traceability. There seems to be a big emphasis on traceability from farm to factory. And what we're seeing here in Ireland, many of the processors, the haulers, they have data capture units on the back of the tankers that are tracking essentially exactly which farmer was picked up, what time, what temperature that milk was, and how much liters that farmer is supplying over that collection period. And we're also seeing a significant increase in digitalization of data across other geographies, be that using these smart pumps or simply improving from written manifest to digitized manifest. So that seems to be another trend that's really increased in pace. Some of the other trends then that we're seeing, look, we're seeing higher regulatory and consumer pressures, especially around the area of kind of traceability, transparency, sustainability. And the consumer really now seems to be demanding that they want to know exactly where all the milk is coming from, down to farm level, how it was transported, which tanker was used, and how sustainable we are around those practices. So, are we collecting all of this milk in the most efficient way as possible? So, they're just some of the main trends that I would expect to see over the next 12 months.
Very good. Thanks, Kevin. And by the way, as Zoom's bandwidth was in some cases speeding up your talk. So if everyone is able to understand the Cork accent, well, it's sped up for a couple of seconds, then I'll be very impressed. But only for a couple of seconds here and there. So okay, thanks very much, Kevin. So with that context set, hopefully, and I'm sure that aligns with everyone else's experience of their own local markets. on the call. What have we been doing around these areas throughout 2025? And again, to stress that all the new product functionality is focused on milk and dairy from our perspective. We don't invest in other industries. So I've got a couple of demos which I'll show you. So some new functionality, and it's really around the pickup optimization product that I mentioned at the beginning. But the first one there around sustainability reporting, maybe to stick with you, Kevin, for that. Um, that's something that you've introduced and you've seen an increased demand for this year.
Yeah, I suppose as I said earlier, there seems to be a lot bigger emphasis on sustainability at the moment. And some of our customers reached out to see, is this something that we could help with? So I suppose you can see the report there on the right-hand side, but maybe to go into a little bit more detail of what is entailed here. So what we are doing with some of our customers now at the moment is we're importing all of their customer data on a weekly basis. So this is their actual data that happened. So how the load was collected, um, which suppliers were on this route, where was it delivered, etc. And what we're doing then is we're running an optimization um, based on the same conditions as that the actual data happens. So we're using the same supplier volumes, the same vehicles, same amount of milk is going to these factories. And what our report is telling us then, it's giving us our total distance, how many loads we are collected, what our load fill is, what our fuel usage is, and what emissions are associated with these routes. So based on our optimization, then we can report on what the potential saving could be, for example, in terms of emissions or fuel usage, or a reduction in distance could be, based on what actually happened. So it's giving us two things really. It's giving us what actually happened, so we have a benchmark of what's happening, and it's giving us direction and where we need to go to become more sustainable. So it seems to be really, there seems to be a greater emphasis on the moment, and with the legislation that's coming in terms of ESG and CSRD, I would expect that trend is going to continue as well into the future.
Yeah, no doubt. And these customers are getting asked for these reports not only, well, internally from their own sustainability teams, but also from their end customers, like you were saying earlier on. Um, Okay, thanks for that. Okay, the next one, so we're a product company and we always like to include some live demos in our webinars for anyone who's seen them before. So we're going to show a quick demo of a new feature we added in, which was around managing changing volume, so pickup volume. So whether that's seasonal, which is very much the case in Ireland and the UK, or for other reasons. It can be quite cumbersome for planners to be able to manage changes in pickup volumes across hundreds or thousands of producers. And specifically, this feature looks at moving farmers from a daily pickup to an every other day pickup, or vice versa. Okay, so let me move to the demo. And Kevin, you can just confirm that we're now looking at a demo.
Yeah, all good.
Yeah. Okay. So there's quite a few people on today's webinar, maybe some who haven't seen our product before. Just very quickly, what our core pickup optimization product does is it analyzes data about depots where the trucks are starting, plants where the loads need to go to, and obviously all of this the suppliers or producers where we're picking up data. It automatically then creates a route plan. So it does all the calculations, it runs in the background, and it creates a route plan. And a route plan consists of a series of routes, as you might guess, which show, in this case, starting from a depot, pick up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then back to the plant. Okay, and we track things like distance, time, tanker fill, CO2, etc., etc. Okay, so that's what our core product does. And here's a summary of a 2-day plan. And this is a 2-day plan for all you planners will know well. That's to accommodate daily pickups and every other day pickups. Okay, so that's what the core product does. In this case, we want to have a look at a particular use case, which is okay, I've got a plan, but I now want to plan for my milk volumes reducing. Okay, so let's focus on this first producer here, which is Doors Dairy. Going to focus on this guy. And here you can see some of the information that we collect on it. Obviously, name, address, coordinates are all there. The daily milk amount is the amount produced on the farm each day. And in these cases, currently they're all picked up daily. So every day a truck is going to visit and pick up 3,000 litres from these farms. We have opening hours, etc., etc. What we want to do, I can do it, is keep an eye on the daily milk amount column. I'm going to update our volume. So we're going to pretend that the volumes are reducing as they already have as we've gone into winter. The volumes are reducing down to by about 10%. So now we have to pick up about 10% less. But for this particular farm, if we just focus in on him, for this particular farm, now we have to pick up on, or he produces each day 2,700 litres. But actually, we know his storage tank can take 5,500 litres. So perhaps, obviously, a planner looking at this could manually go in and change it, but we would like perhaps the system to do that for us. And as with all of these, and I'm just running the plan again so that it's going to do it for us. As with all of these, the way we save time is to be able to apply these rules across hundreds and thousands of producers so that it saves the planner time and ultimately money. So again, just to reiterate what we've done, the original pickup, if we have a look at this producer on the map, so this was the previous route that we ran, and we can see here, let's see where the route is, very scenic part of Ireland. You can see here that down at the bottom, D1, we've got a route on day one of the plan, and day two of the plan, we've also got a route. So on each day, this producer was visited because it was a daily pickup, and on each day, 3,000 was delivered. What happens if we reduce it slightly and we know the storage capability on the system, which we do here? So we've reduced the amount slightly and we've run a new plan. So let's just do that again. We have a new plan. Let's go and have a look and see what has happened to our producer. We can see here, hopefully you can see down there. If not, I also get a warning in the plan. We can see here that their frequency was automatically changed from daily to odd day or day one of a 2-day plan. Okay, because the system now knows that the bulk storage capacity can take 2 days worth of milk, and then it can visit it every other day. Okay, so picture that across hundreds and thousands of producers, that the system automatically knows when to go from daily to every other day. That's the goal of that feature. And I think it's been proven now that it can save a huge amount of time as you're managing reductions or increases in pickup volume. Okay, so the next demo is slightly different, but just as important. So this was actually, the feature was already there, but we've enhanced it this year based on some customer feedback. And this feature is to focus on trucks being able to access farms. Now, in some cases, they can only access them from one direction, or they should only access them from one direction due to the turning circle going into the farm. And in some cases, the last bit of the farm entrance or the yard is missing from standard maps. So we built a feature to allow the user to add in those last few yards or half a mile going into the farm, but also to define that which direction a truck should approach a farm from. Okay, and the goal here is to, yes, it improves accuracy, it gives us a better picture, a better representation of mileage, but also to Kevin's point earlier on, we know there's a lot of drivers that are going to leave the business, and we need any routes that we provide new drivers to be as accurate as possible, and not to be sending drivers to access a farm from a direction which it can't access it from. Okay, so let me jump again. Now back to our product here. What we have here is is what we call a map editor. So again, this allows us to look at the same information. So here we have all of the same sort of farms, the same information, but I'm now looking at it in a workbench where I can go in and actually make some changes to the map itself. So here we have a particular farm. And in this case, I want to do two things from it. I want to define which direction the truck can access it from, and I want to add this little missing piece of the road here. Okay, so maybe it's easier if we look at it from a satellite view. So let's look at it first. So currently, if a truck is approaching from this direction, going here, well, that's probably the route it would take. Okay, if we didn't know any better, that the truck would go this way. But as a planner, I've now been told by my driver, or more likely by an angry farmer, that the truck cannot or should not enter the farm approaching from this direction, and it should come from the other direction. So what do we do? Okay, so the planner can very easily go in. Let's add the missing road so that that's there so that we get accurate mileage across all of our farms. But also over here to the left, I'm going to set the entry direction. Okay, so I'm going to say that um, that this truck should only approach from this specific direction. Okay, once I save that, now let's do the same thing again, and we should be able to see that the truck or the route that we produce from our system will now force the truck to access that farm from a different direction. And hopefully everybody is happy. The truck is able to get in without any damage to the farm entrance. Okay, so that's another example of a feature really specific to milk. Um, requested by our customers, enhancements requested by the customers, ultimately to improve accuracy, to find those new efficiencies that Kevin spoke about, but to address what will be quite a difficult problem in the industry, which is new drivers coming on board without a lot of experience in accessing farms or even driving milk tankers. Okay, so hopefully that was interesting and you followed a couple of other things. So I mentioned that we are investing in the second part of the journey. Often this is the biggest part of the journey next year, and that's rather than looking at assembling the loads from a pickup perspective, but looking at just the scheduling of the full load, i.e. from the last pickup to the factories. And this is our what we call intelligent scheduling and dispatch. And this is just to give you a look at what is coming next year. So you can see here that this is now more akin to a scheduling tool. It's not really concerned with all of the pickups associated with loads. We're simply looking at we've got some loads, we've got plant demands. Now, importantly, these demands could be from your own plants or from customer-owned plants. And this is a much more modern area or modern solution to allow schedulers quickly to optimize schedules. So ask the system to help you or to optimize as much as you want to assign loads based on all of the same sort of optimization constraints that we know and are inherent in our original product. But also to allow the user to manually assign loads, because we know really well in all of the milk supply chain that we can plan for a lot of things, we can optimize a lot of things, but there always must be room for the planner and the scheduler to conveniently make their own changes. And that's what this system will allow. So there's a scheduling process. We're going to provide a much streamlined dispatch process. So for any of you who have to send out many emails or SMSs or faxes by sending multiple emails, well, this product will allow schedulers to send once and send it to all. And yes, we all know about the last minute changes that you guys need to send out or schedulers need to send out. And we're going to make it really easy to only send those schedules to affected parties. So a lot of investment on our side. We do have a wait list already for this new project. It's called our Intelligent Scheduling and Dispatch. If you would like to join the wait list, then please do send us an email or contact us after the call. Key takeaway from this new product that we're launching on the market is it's a modern scheduling product. It will optimize where you want it, but it leaves the user in control. There's definitely going to be much less manual steps in daily dispatch, better visibility, hopefully much easier to make last minute changes. But very importantly, it's an open system, so it can import your supply and demand data from any of the systems you currently use, whether it's your own internal system or whether you use any of the other systems on the market. It's really important that it's an important principle for us that we're open and we like to integrate with other solutions as long as it's for the benefit of the customer. Okay, so we've covered a lot of things there. A quick wrap up. So it's clear, I think, that there's a lot of pressures on the industry to reduce costs, at least address emissions, find new efficiencies, staying with the status quo or business as usual, whether it's in pickup optimization or scheduling and dispatch optimization is not really being accepted anymore. Automation where it makes sense is essential. We know that planners must retain the ultimate control in any of the tools that they use, and that's inherent with all of our platform. And hopefully you've seen today that we have built and we are continuing to build a platform to support the latest trends and the next era of dairy transport. Okay, we have come to the end and we've gone a little bit over time. So I think we will leave it at that. Maybe if we can get to one question. Okay, we have one question, which I'll squash in, and then we'll leave it at that. Does your solution allow editing a road network to ensure roads selected by the network are favored or avoided by mandatory trucking network? And the answer is yes. So Mark Andre asked that. So we can edit the map so that certain roads or certain areas are avoided based on your own knowledge or the user knowledge. We've got a couple of other questions here about the wait list and release dates on the new scheduling product. So I will take note of that and come back to you guys via email. Okay, other than that, Kevin, thank you for your time. Everybody else, thank you for joining today. We wish you a nice holiday period and look forward to speaking with you all again, if not this year, soon next year. Thanks all. Goodbye.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.